Welcome back to the Cycle Starters podcast. I'm your host, Heather Rebecca Wilson, and today I am absolutely thrilled to introduce you to someone whose story is nothing short of extraordinary. Gabrielle Stone is no stranger to the world of entertainment. Growing up on the set with her legendary Scream Queen mother, Dee Wallace, you might know her from Cujo and E.T., Gabrielle had days licking off mommy's fake blood and watching behind the scenes movie magic. Seeing the world with her parents gave her the travel bug at an early age until she experienced a real life horror when she lost her father suddenly at age 7. After many years in the industry herself, Gabrielle transitioned from acting to writing and directing. Her award-winning films, It Happened Again Last Night and After Emma, gained recognition for writing, directing, and acting. But she had a bigger role in life that would soon present itself, a freaking badass. So after the rug was vigorously pulled out from under her when her partner's affair came to light, she found herself falling into the arms of another man. After a second failed attempt at love and a massive heartbreak, she decided that instead of landing flat on her ass, she'd make a career out of it. And so came the birth of the book Eat, Pray, hashtag FML, F My Life, where she shared all the mistakes, all the lessons, and most importantly, how she became a fearless leader from it all. When fans around the world demanded more, the highly anticipated sequel, The Ridiculous Misadventures of a Single Girl, and the podcast FML Talk were born, and Gabrielle soon realized that her broken heart had bloomed a movement. Today, we're diving deep into Gabrielle's ancestral healing journey, exploring the patterns she's breaking, the cycles she's starting, and how she transformed her deepest wounds into medicine for others. She's a mom, a wife, an author, a filmmaker, and a guide for anyone who's ever had to rebuild themselves from the ground up. So before we get into today's conversation, I do have a favor to ask. If you are enjoying the content that we are creating here on the Cycle Starters podcast, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It really helps the algorithm get our episodes in front of more viewers. So thank you in advance for that. I really appreciate the support. And so without further ado, let's welcome Gabrielle to the show. Hey, sister.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for such a beautiful intro. I can't wait for this discussion today.
I'm so happy that you are here, and I appreciate you saying yes to being in dialogue with me. You have such a compelling story, and so I just want to jump right in. So what can you share with us about your blood ancestry? What do you know?
Okay, so I will take you back as far as I go. I know that I am German, Irish, Dutch, and French. And really, the ancestral stuff that I have dealt with in this physical body in this lifetime has been in direct relation to my mother. A lot of the things I've witnessed her deal with and heal or not heal growing up. I'm now, as an adult and a mom myself, realizing that I am breaking a lot of those generational patterns. And also from my father's side, the way that I found him when he passed was a huge trauma to endure at 7 years old. And now, as an adult going through my own healing journey, I'm discovering more and more about how that's impacted me and the beliefs it left with me and the things that I need to undo from that. So it's been really interesting, and my real work that I have been doing has come directly from my mom and my father in this lifetime.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that so much. Well, so if you had to put a fine point on it, what would you say are the patterns that you are breaking in this incarnation?
I knew that we were going to be talking about this today, and it's so fascinating because there are some that I have healed already and can look back and be like, this is one and it's checked off the list. And there's some that I am in the thick of, like standing waist deep in them currently. And I was like, well, this will be fun to talk about today. So the one that I can recognize that was really happening during my Eat, Pray, FML journey, and really the both of the books that I have already come out with, was the fear of being alone and the fear of abandonment. I know that I've experienced it in my life from an early age with the loss of my father. That was, when I love someone, they die, fear of abandonment. It started at that really young age. When I was 18, I lost my high school sweetheart in a car accident.
Mm.
Love someone, they die, fear of abandonment. So that had been running my life for a very long time. But what's interesting is that if you look back to my mother's history, she lost her dad when she was in high school. He was an alcoholic and shot himself in the back of a bar when she was, I think,
Mm.
a junior in high school. She has experienced tremendous loss. And I grew up witnessing her never being alone. She was obviously with my dad when I came into the picture, and they were what everyone would consider soulmates. And when he died, I then went from sleeping in my room to sleeping in bed with her every night for 2 years, because it was the way that we kind of coped. And I get emotional thinking about it now as a mom, what you would do in that scenario if my mom was across the world when my dad passed shooting a movie. I was at home with my dad and my nanny. I actually write in depth about this in my new book that just came out this week. And it was fascinating to watch her fly home from that experience, take care of all of us, put me back on a plane with her, go and finish her film. It was the exact definition of when life throws shit at you, you just have to look forward and keep going. And that's what she did. Now, as an adult, I look back and I'm like, oh, she was never really alone. She went from being with my dad to having me as her safety place at night for 2 years. And then she married my stepdad. And I can see the pattern of her being terrified to be alone. Even now, she'll go to work on a film or to do a convention, and she'll call me on the second day she's there, and she's like, I'm just really lonely. And I'm like,
Oh.
you've been alone for 24, 48 hours. I love my alone time. I'm like, put me in a quiet hotel room. Are you kidding me? I thrive there. But I can see that it's still a very big unhealed fear for her. So that was my first kind of connecting the generational break of that pattern. So when I went on my Europe trips that I wrote my book about, and then my second journey when I went to Southeast Asia, that was really me healing that I'm scared to be alone and the fear of abandonment. And it changed my life. It really was such an integral part to my healing journey. I'm forever grateful to the things that led me going on that journey. The ones that I'm going through now are a little bit more complicated. My mom came from a very, very poor family in Kansas City and has been working since age 5 and contributing to the family,
Wow.
and then moved to New York to become an actress, and then moved to LA and became who she is today. All the while, no matter what level of money she was making, she always felt fear that she didn't have enough. And that's from so many things that happened in her childhood that are core memories for her based around the fear of being poor. So I have grown up in a very, not that I wouldn't say we were ever rich by any means. We were always very middle class and comfortable and very grateful for that. And then when my dad passed, my mom, was the sole provider and trying to find work in a really difficult industry. But we were always comfortable. I never wanted for anything. I had no concept growing up of the money fear. But subconsciously, you pick stuff up like that. And I grew up watching my mom go through these different levels of career, at points feeling like that was taken away from her without having that in her control, and the fear of not having enough, and a lot of convoluted beliefs around money. Now, I've seen as an adult her heal a lot of that, and I've seen the proof from her healing work where she's changed a lot in her relationship with money. And I see where it's still a very big thing in her life that I refuse to take on with me. It has to stop with me. So I'm in the middle of, I guess, what some would call the big void or the mess that happens when you're manifesting and changing right before all the stuff arrives. Everything kind of goes to shit. I'm in the middle of all of that and being very aware of my beliefs around money, around my thoughts that I think towards money. And it's been a journey and a challenge to try and reprogram some of the things that I grew up watching in my reality and witnessing in her life.
Thank you for sharing all of that, and especially the money piece that really stands out to me just because I think, especially amongst women, it's been such a taboo, right?
Hmm.
It's such a touchy subject. So I really appreciate you being totally transparent and vulnerable around it. I would say that we have this in common. I am manifesting for a whole new chapter so
Hmm.
I can see it ahead of me, and then also I'm cleaning up and resolving the chapter that is
Yeah.
closing out. I think that's just the general astrology right now. So, yeah, I think it's a scary place to be in some ways, but it's an exciting place to be. And
Yeah. If you have the faith that
yeah,
you know what's on the other side, then you're
exactly.
like, great, I'm on track. As long as we're
Yes.
going to get to the outcome, I'll go through whatever it takes. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you've been through a lot. You've experienced significant loss in your life. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through all of that. And you've gained so much embodied wisdom from
Hmm.
having gone through those experiences. Like, that's so obvious to me. I
Yeah.
want to rewind a little bit and ask you, when did this concept of ancestral healing enter your consciousness insofar as, okay, things can be passed down from generation to generation, but most importantly, I actually have the power to change things. I have the power to shift these cycles. So, can you tell me a little bit about your journey around that?
Yeah, I think that concept came to me at a very early age because of my mom. She was introduced to manifestation and the law of attraction really back when The Secret was all the rage back then. And my dad was the one that really introduced that to her. He was kind of a master at not caring what the rules were. He would read a script and there would be a part written for a redhead woman and he'd be like, "Oh, I want this part." And they would be like, "It's a redheaded woman." He's like, "I don't care. They can change it." And somehow it would work itself out to where he would be able to do it. So he was the one that really brought that concept to her. And then she, after he passed and needing to find some type of spiritual grounding in her life, started her own healing work and really dropped to her knees and was like, "I need help. I need an answer," and got her first message that led her into her clairaudient healing work. She now does private sessions with people around the world. And, I've seen her work in my life and so many of her clients. Through that work, I was introduced to, you got this from your mom, you got this from your paternal grandmother, the idea of having things passed down to you and that you could redirect the energy and really redefine it to make different choices and break things. So I've known for a very long time. I wouldn't say I was so actively aware consciously. Like it would come up when I would do her work and she would test things, but it wasn't until the last 5 years I was very conscious of, oh, this is a pattern from my mom, or, oh, this is some stuff coming up that I picked up from my dad. And once you have that conscious awareness, it's everywhere, to the point where you are walking throughout your day-to-day life and you have an exchange with your husband or an exchange with your toddler and you're like, whoa, that's not mine. This is a generational thing that's coming through. So I'm more aware of it now, but it's been a part of my life and a part of my knowledge for quite some time because of the work that she does.
Okay. Yeah, I think this concept is still very new to a lot of people, so I always love to ask people, how did this even come into your world, right?
Mhm.
This idea that you can actually start new patterns, start new cycles, because I think that it's easy to get caught up in victim mode when it comes to ancestral healing. A lot of
Mhm.
people get stuck facing backwards when they really should be facing forwards. You sound very empowered around this, and it sounds like this empowerment started at a very young age and was modeled to you by your parents. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it really was, and I think that when you go through experiences in your own life where you recognize a pattern that you created, not necessarily by choice, obviously, but take my fear of abandonment, for example. It started with losing my dad, was then really reaffirmed when I lost my high school sweetheart. So my subconscious was walking around this planet going, the people I love are going to leave me, and the men in my life are going to abandon me. I was attracting people that would play that scenario out for me. So my brain would go, see, we're right, we're safe. I attracted my ex husband who ended up cheating on me. And then I quickly attracted the man I met after who love bombed me and then dumped me 48 hours before we were getting on a plane to Europe that he invited me on. The universe must have been up there laughing at this point, being like, she's going to get it. Eventually, she's going to see the pattern. And I finally did. And when I went on that Europe trip, it healed so much of that fear of abandonment because I realized that I would never abandon myself. And that was
Mhm.
such a profound shift for me. And it wasn't until I shifted that I could then look back and say, oh, my mom has this too. It didn't just
Right.
start with my dad dying. I was probably picking up in her womb, like
Mhm.
it's so much
Absolutely.
deeper than that. And so it also allows you as a human to give yourself some grace and be like, yeah, I
Right.
attracted those assholes because look what I was trying to bring forward to heal, and allow yourself to get a pass on some of those things.
Yes, I think the grace piece, self-compassion and self-forgiveness is so important on this journey because you can really beat yourself up, and
Yeah.
it's so unnecessary, and I am right with you. I have dated all sorts of people, and that's what I chose actually to experience in this life. I chose to
Yeah.
experience deep transformation through relationships. Not everybody is walking that path, So, of course, I was going to be with some, interesting characters, to put it lightly, along my journey, but they all taught me something about myself.
Yeah.
They all reflected something inside of me that was ready to be healed. So I have a lot of gratitude towards all of those people, whether I'm like still in contact with them or not. It
I
was all a necessary part of my journey.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way, and people can knock the whole "everything happens for a reason" phrase, but I deeply believe that. Not in the
Yeah.
toxic positivity way of like, "Oh, yeah, everything happens for a reason. It's all
Right.
sunshine and rainbows coming out of your ass." No, it's not that. I can look back and be like, "Okay, yes, did my dad's death, was that horrible and unfortunate, and do I wish he was still here? Absolutely. Can I see the trajectory that sent me on and what I learned from it and the woman I am now because of it and because of all the loss I've experienced in my life or because of all the assholes that I've dated? Every single piece of my life you can look at as a blueprint to lead me to where I'm at now, and I would do it 10 times over to get to this moment.
Good for you. I love it. Well, so I think I'd love to shift this conversation into some astrology.
I'm so ready. Give me all the things.
All right, perfect. Thank you for being game. So, for those of you who are new to my work, I am an ancestral healing guide and have recently expanded my practice into galactic astrology, which looks at how your natal planets, which are all planets we're familiar with in the solar system, galactic astrology looks at how those natal planets are in conversation with fixed stars, supercosmic points, nebulas, and black holes to really show you the vastness of your soul's journey across eons of time, many lifetimes. Some of them are on planet Earth and some of them are off planet. So I recognize that not everybody is into this, and that's fine. I'm super passionate about it, and it really felt so expansive. Like I had a physical sensation of expansion when I saw my galactic placement. So I'm really excited to share with you what I found, but I do want to start with your big 3, which are your sun, moon, and rising signs. And just the way I approach astrology, it's a tool, it's not the rule, but it's something that I have engaged with along my ancestral healing journey as a framework and a language for understanding myself as an energetic being, but also empowering myself. So it's part of
Mhm.
my practice. I, use it with my clients, and everything is in the chart. You can see your ancestral wounds. You can see the gifts that your ancestors have given you. You can see what you're bringing from a past life, whether it's stuff that you're shedding, but
Mm.
also gifts that you're bringing from a past life. So it's like a really intimate thing to look at someone's chart. So thank you for allowing me to look at it.
Oh my god, are
Um,
you kidding? This is such a gift. Thank you for doing this, and I am
oh my
very into it, so
Okay, cool. Well, so let's start with your sun sign. The sun, the sun sign is just where the sun was the day that you were born, and it shows us where you shine. It shows us the special sauce that you mix into everything that you do that sets you apart from the 11 other astrological signs. And each sign is a spectrum of psychospiritual energy with a high expression and a low expression. So your sun is in the sign of Scorpio,
Mhm.
which is fixed water. So this tells me right off the bat that you are extremely psychic and intuitive because all of the water signs are. And I would say the high expression of Scorpio is being born with a PhD in psychology. You come out of the womb like understanding the human psyche, being curious about it, being an in-depth researcher,
Mm.
having an incredible BS meter, like you can tell when somebody's lying to you. And also, there's deep emotional sensitivity balanced with logic in the high expression of Scorpio. And it's also the sign that's associated with deep transformation. So you're really good at dying to your old self and coming back as a new person, right? You've gone
Yep.
through many deep transformations and you can roll with it. You can ride with it. Not everybody can do that. The low expression of Scorpio is, I would say, it's a little bit of darkness. It's being suspicious of other people. It's keeping secrets from other people. If you think about the scorpion with the stinger, right? It's like, let me sting you before you sting me, because
Mhm.
Scorpio is so sensitive. And I have a ton of Scorpio friends. I love them so much because we can talk about anything. No subject is off the table. We can go to the darkest places, but then come out, you know? And
Yeah.
so I really love that flexibility of what we can talk about. But I would say the low expression of Scorpio is that you go to the dark place and then you never come out.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I'm curious, tell me about your Scorpio sun life. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, I think a lot of that tracks. Whenever someone asks me what my sign is and I say Scorpio, they're like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." I think we get a bad rap, but I am fiercely loyal to the
Yeah.
people that I love. I also have a really gnarly bite when people cross me, and
Hmm.
I forgive, but I don't allow people to stay in my world when they cross a boundary. And that's become even more intense after becoming a mom, for sure. And definitely deeply sensitive. I really feel internally a lot, but sometimes have trouble. And I don't know if this is from the Scorpio or from the trauma I've experienced. I feel as if expressing those emotions, sometimes I have a wall up. I'm never afraid to cry. I can like cry in interviews or cry on camera or cry to my friends, but it's more of like when I am having an emotional thing with my mom, I almost feel like my hands out like this. I can't quite allow that wall to be broken down.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think Scorpio is so sensitive. You feel everything and you're protective too, right? You're protective of yourself, you're protective of that sensitivity. The
Yeah.
other thing I really appreciate about Scorpio is that they don't care how dark, how ugly, how, yucky something is. They want to be told the truth. You are
Yeah.
obsessed with truth telling and people telling you the truth. You are um the attentive detective. I think that's the archetype that I was associate with Scorpio. All right.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Okay.
So your rising sign is Libra, and this is a totally different energy from Scorpio. So this
Mhm.
is cardinal air, and air represents our thoughts, our beliefs, our consciousness, our communication. And when we have an element that is in a cardinal modality, It's like that initial thrust of air. I like to think of it as like a big gust of wind that clears the mind. So Libra's very intellectual. It's ruled by the planet Venus, who is the goddess of love, money, and pleasure. And so, one of the high expressions of Libra is wanting there to be harmony, this ability to create beauty and seeing things from all sides, right? Being objective and being very concerned with justice. The lower expression of Libra is people pleasing. You repress your own needs because you don't want to rock the boat, right? And also unhealed Libra, I think can manifest as this superficiality.
Mhm.
So the reason we ask for your birth time is because the rising sign is based on the time you're born. And my feeling is that we choose this when we're on the other side, right? Like I'm coming in as this Libra or whatever, because that's actually the vehicle for your divine mission. It's
Mm.
your perception of reality. It's the energy you give off that when people first meet you, that's what they're feeling. And
Mhm.
also, I do think that the people that you're meant to serve in this life, these are the energies that they pick up on. So,
Mm.
Miss Libra rising, tell me about the Libra rising life and specifically the people pleasing part. What's your relationship to that been?
2025 has been the year of stop fucking people pleasing. And it's deep within me and it's difficult. And people are always so surprised to hear that because in my books and on my podcast, I'm very like, take it or leave it. This is my story and like I don't care what you think, but I deeply do care what people think because the stuff that I put out is my authentic self. So if people don't like that, it hits me in a deeper way, I guess you would say. But yeah, the people pleasing is something I have really been coming up to situations that have happened over this year that have been like, are you going to people please or are you going to choose yourself and move away from that narrative? And it's been very difficult, but we're doing it.
Good for you. It's hard. It's super hard, and I think also you will find more peace in your life
Yeah.
actually by prioritizing yourself and your well-being. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, so the moon is one of my favorites to talk about because the moon represents your emotions, your emotional core, your emotional inheritance, including ancestral wounds, but also the gifts that your ancestors have given you. And so your moon is in Aries, and I'm an Aries sun, so I'm very familiar with this energy. Aries is cardinal fire, and fire represents our passions, inspiration, creative spark, intuition, and Aries is the leader. In the highest expression, it's the entrepreneur, it's the pioneer, the risk taker, but somebody who takes strategic risks would be healed Aries, and then unhealed Aries is leaping before looking.
Yeah.
It's associated with the child as the first sign of the zodiac. So I would say childishness, not being childlike. I think being childlike can be really positive, but there can be childishness with unhealed Aries, right? Where you're
Yeah.
just focused on yourself. And the healed Aries is like, I'm a leader, but I'm bringing out the best in my team, right?
Hmm.
I'm leading by elevating and uplifting those around me. And then the moon is significant because it shows us what we are responsible for giving ourselves in order to feel at home and centered in our own energy. And so the wound could be around the self, around identity. And then also the gift then is being able to lead and lead from a very strong sense of self once you've transmuted that wound. So I'm really curious, how do you care for your emotional life with this Aries moon?
It's really intense because everything you just said about being the leader, bringing out the best in your teams around you, um, all of that tracks. I also have zero patience. So I'm
Yeah.
like, great, we're doing this big project. Why has it not been done in this week? Why is this taking so long? Trying to let go of that has been my other big thing of 2025. So that's been very difficult. What's really ironic about this conversation, what you said about the unhealed Aries versus the healed Aries, is the man who broke my heart and dumped me before the Europe trip, that the whole first book is kind of written with him woven throughout, is an Aries man.
Oh,
and was the epitome of jump in feet first and then be like, "Oh shit, gotta backpedal," and Peter Pan energy, like, to a T. So that tracks.
totally relate with the impatience. Yeah, I think when you have a lot of Aries energy in your chart, especially in your big three, you move fast and you work really well independently, right? And
Mhm.
especially if you have Mercury in Aries, which is like how you think and how you talk, which is what I am. I used to get so frustrated with people who couldn't communicate very directly. Right. I'm like,
Yeah.
can we just get to the point?
Yeah,
I would get like that, you know?
I do it. I do it with my husband and I look at him as he's speaking and I'm like, "I love you, but if you don't spit it out, I'm walking out of the room. Just speak quicker, do it faster. Let's go." It's terrible, but
I know.
I feel you.
Yes, yes, it's a journey, right? Not everybody's like this. Not
I
everybody
know.
has this
Shouldn't
Aries
they be?
fire.
Like, we
Yeah.
we should be.
I mean, listen, we all have all 12 signs in the chart. It's just the signs are in different areas for people.
Yeah.
But yes, the patience thing is like definitely there's a growth journey around that.
Yes, and having a toddler is one of the best ways to start
Yeah.
working on that.
I can't think of a better testing ground, right?
Yes.
A school
Yes.
for learning patience than dealing with
Yeah.
it. A little one. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about your galactic placements a little bit. So I would say that looking at your chart, I feel like it tells a story of radical rebirth and
Mm.
creative sovereignty. And I
Ooh.
think that you came into this lifetime with this very powerful mix of soul frequencies that say you are not here to play small at all. You're here to break patterns, liberate stories, and guide others through the messy, magnificent process of becoming fully human and fully divine. And so your sun in Scorpio is aligned, it's conjunct. So that means it's right next to the Centaurus star system and specifically the star Alpha Centauri. And that connects you to ancient wisdom, medicine, and multidimensional intelligence.
Mm.
And combined with all this scorpionic energy, which is transformational, right? It's about telling the truth and also this emotional depth. I think that you've got this signature of the cosmic alchemist written all over your chart. So you don't just experience change, you embody change. And your life is like this laboratory where shadow becomes art, where
Mm.
heartbreak becomes medicine, and where truth becomes your legacy. And it's like you carry these codes of deep soul transformation, the power to heal not just through what you teach, but how you live.
Oh,
Um,
that's so nice.
I know, right? And then the other thing that stood out to me was that your midheaven, which is the very top of the chart, it's your career, your profession, it's what you're known for out in the public for contributing to
Mhm.
society. Your midheaven is conjunct the Lyra star system, specifically the star Alad Far. And this is a placement of artistic expression and soul music. And so Lyra is connected to the original frequencies of creation, which are love, sound, and harmony. And so I feel like this is influencing what you're doing in public insofar as your voice, your story, your art helps others to remember beauty even in the breakdown. And you are like literally designed, like your chart, you decided this on the other side, is my feeling. You decided to move people through frequency, through storytelling, through performance, through your truth. And then your Jupiter, which is the planet of good fortune and expansion and where you shine in your spiritual development, it's conjunct the Pleiades and specifically Pleiades Alcyone. And this gives you very expansive communication gifts. This is the teacher, this is the messenger, this is the storyteller, because you're meant to translate very complex emotions and universal truths into words that people can feel it in their bodies.
Mhm.
And the Pleiadian energy also carries a healing through joy, right? A reminder that lightness and laughter are also sacred. And then your Uranus, which is where you stand out. No one's going to tell you what to do in this area of your life. It's the planet of disruption and rebellion. It's conjunct the galactic center, which is one of the four super cosmic points. This shows me that you are like this revolutionary conduit. You're an innovator that's downloading new ways of seeing relationships, sexuality, and freedom, actually. And
Mm.
so the galactic center is the heart of our Milky Way galaxy, and it's the source of divine intelligence. And so with your Uranus here, your intuition is ahead of its time. So you're constantly evolving, reinventing, and then receiving these flashes of insight that shake people awake. And then finally, I'm giving you the highlights. There's like so much, but the
I know, I
highlights
have
are
so many comments on all of this, but
I
we'll go
know,
back.
I can't wait. So your Pluto, which is basically the planet that shows us what you don't want people to know about you, what you don't want people to see. It's like where things go to die in order to be
Mhm,
reborn.
mhm.
Your Pluto is in the sign of Scorpio and it's conjunct Crux, A Crux. So it's the Crux star system and the specific star is A Crux. And I think that this ties everything together with the energy of deep healing and sacred service. This placement says to me that your soul has walked through lifetimes of grief and loss and intensity and has chosen to return as a guide for others walking this same path. So you're the one who's holding the lantern in the dark, reminding others that actually the descent is the initiation into transformation. So if we just pull this all together, I feel like your galactic blueprint speaks of a soul who came here to transform pain into power and storytelling into healing. You're a bridge between worlds, between heartache and humor, between the human and the divine. And so, in every sense, I'm getting that you're a liberator of light through the art of truth. So, I know that's a lot. How is this landing for you?
Well, I mean, if any of my fans are listening to this, they're all laughing because this is like to a T. I'm like, I guess we're on track. I guess I'm following the right path because this is everything. I mean, some of the wording that you just said almost knocked me over, saying that you return to hold the lantern for the light. The last thing I say in almost every interview I do when people are like, what could you tell someone that's going through a dark or difficult time? And I say, no matter how dark it may seem, just know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and it's more beautiful than you could ever imagine. So keep going. Even the words that you chose to explain this were so spot on. Going back to the first thing you said when you were like, you're not here to play small, you're here to play big. My mom and I have had that exact conversation where she's like, you need to go be bigger than I ever was. Go
Oh.
play with the big guys. I was always afraid that I was going to get something taken away or something bad was going to happen to me if I went to the big guys. You're supposed to be the big guys. Don't take that from me. So, things that you're saying, I've had exact conversations around, like to a T. So, so accurate.
Yay. Oh, I'm so glad that this resonated for
Oh my
you.
God, 10
And
out of 10.
it was so fun to look at these galactic placements. So you're very multi-galactic. There you have connections to lots of different star systems. I can't tell what the quality of those soul connections are unless we do a proper reading because I would open the
Mhm.
soul records, but you have soul connections to all these different star systems. So it's very exciting. I want to give you an opportunity now to talk about current projects. Like, what are you excited about? I know you have a new book. Can you tell us about it, please?
I can, yes. By the time this airs, it will be available. So that's really exciting. So obviously, I have my first two books. The first one is Eat, Pray, FML. The second one is The Ridiculous Misadventures of a Single Girl. This is a book that is separate from those two. That was the first in a sequel. But in that sequel, everybody met and fell in love with my current now husband, who is wonderful. And we by no means had an easy journey to get to happily ever after, but we did and we made it and we're here. And when I was 8 months pregnant, I looked at him and said, I think we should write a book together. Like the batshit crazy Aries person that I am. Let's just start writing a book at 8 months pregnant and continue with a newborn sleeping on my chest. So we did. And I'm so glad we did. The idea came to us while we were sitting having coffee in San Francisco. And it's called Finding You Through Finding Me. And it's essentially each of us writing our own individual experiences on traumas and life events and experiences that we've been through individually. So the death of a parent, the birth of a child, addiction, divorce, friendships, our relationship journey, and how we healed from each of those individually, that not only helped us find the healthy relationship that we're in now, but really helped us find ourselves. And we wanted to write it because my main fan base, with the exception of some awesome men and fabulous gays, are mostly women. So I thought it was important to put something out into the world that my reading community would love and gravitate to, but that they could also share with any of the men or the sons or the fathers in their life who might feel more comfortable reading something that also had a male's perspective in it, and a male who I trust that is authentic and has done the work on himself and can share some insight onto how we got to being where we are. And it's a really fun, heavy, but humor. That's the other thing that you said. You were like, to bring the healing with the humor. That is my brand to a T, is, you're going to read some heavy things but laugh throughout the entire journey. So we were able to publish it this year. It's available now. You can get it on eatprayfml.com, signed by both of us, or you can get it on Amazon just by searching Finding You Through Finding Me, paperback and ebook.
Congratulations. This is
Thank
fantastic.
you.
And I imagine that writing a book on your own is a totally different experience than co-writing with a partner. I'm sure you guys
Completely. You want to
had
talk about like, hey, we have a deadline. Like, what are you doing? You need to be on my schedule. Yeah, it was, while having a newborn. It was great. We made it. If
oh
we
my
can make it through
god.
that, we can make it through anything.
Amazing. All right. Well, we will have to check that out. I will put in the show notes the link to the book. If people want to follow you, learn more about you, where should they go to learn more?
I
Do you
think
have a separate website?
I think everything that I do can be found on eatprayfml.com. You can get to the
Okay.
first book, the second book, the new book. You can get a link to the podcast. I don't do my main show, FML Talk, anymore, but there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes that are like different forms of therapy in itself that people can binge whenever they want. I do still do my Patreon subscription. So I release
Okay.
one episode a week on there. And if they sign up for that, they're also added to the close friends on Instagram. And there's a whole bunch of perks that come with that. My really core audience loves. And I love being able to connect with people on that front. But really, Eat Pray FML will take you to all the places you need to get to, or finding me on Instagram at Gabrielle Stone.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, my dear, I have one last question for you that I ask
Okay.
all of my guests. What
Hit me with
are
it.
the new cycles that you are starting in this incarnation?
Oh, I love that question. Not subscribing to the norm and the old thought patterns. So, not subscribing to, well, this is usually hard, or this usually takes a long time, or you can't just shoot to a CEO position, or you have to pay your dues and work really hard to get to this place you want to be at. And just knowing that no one really knows what they're doing. So let's just create our own path ourselves.
I love it. Spoken like a true Aries moon as like the trailblazer.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for
Oh my god, thank
being in
you.
dialogue with me on the show. It was really fun to look at your galactic placements, and I hope we get to see each other in person. It may have to
Yes.
be at that Women in Hollywood networking event. That was
Yes,
so
yes, or
fun.
I'll send you a an invite to our book release too if you happen to
Oh
be
my God.
around and in
Yes.
town, but I thank you for this. This was such a treat to, like, get some confirmation that I'm doing all the things that my soul decided to come again to do and that I'm on the right track, so thank you for that gift.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. And it really seems like you are. You are doing your soul's assignment. So,
Yes.
with that, thanks again so much. And we will see you all next time on the Cycle Starters podcast. Take care. Bye, Gabrielle.
Bye.